Welcome. This is Cheating Tales Stories. Tell me where you're watching from. Have you ever had that gut feeling that something was wrong, but you convinced yourself you were just being paranoid? That's exactly what happened to me. And by the time I trusted my instincts, it was almost too late. Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones capable of the deepest deceptions. Tell me in the comments below. Call me someone who learned the hard way that love and trust don't always go hand in hand. It started 6 months ago, when my wife Celeste announced she was hiring a personal trainer. We'd been married for 8 years, and she'd never shown much interest in fitness before. But she explained that turning 35 had made her more conscious about her health, and she wanted to feel strong and confident again. I was supportive, even proud of her for taking charge of her wellness. When she told me about Garrett, her trainer, I thought nothing of it. He was a certified professional who came highly recommended from the gym she'd started attending. The sessions were 3 times a week, and she seemed genuinely excited about her progress. The changes in Celeste were noticeable within the first month. She had more energy, seemed happier, and was taking better care of herself overall. She bought new workout clothes, upgraded her sneakers, and even started meal prepping. I complimented her dedication constantly, thinking this was exactly what our marriage needed. Both of us becoming better versions of ourselves. What I didn't realize was how much her schedule was changing. The training sessions that were supposed to be 1 hour started stretching to 2 hours, sometimes 3. When I asked about it, she explained that Garrett was also helping her with nutrition planning and that they often grabbed a protein shake afterward to discuss her progress. It seemed reasonable. Professional trainers do provide comprehensive lifestyle coaching, right? Around the 3rd month, I noticed Celeste had become more protective of her phone. She'd always been casual about leaving it around the house, but suddenly she was taking it everywhere, even to the bathroom. When I mentioned it jokingly, she laughed it off and said she'd been reading fitness articles and tracking her workouts more closely. The late-night texting started shortly after. I'd wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning to find her typing away, the screen's glow illuminating her face. When I asked who she was messaging so late, she said it was her training group chat where they shared motivation and tips. She showed me a few innocent messages about meal prep and workout schedules, so I believed her, but something felt off. Celeste had never been someone who engaged much with group, fitness activities, or online communities. She was more of a private person who preferred one-on-one interactions. Still, I told myself that people change, and maybe this new fitness journey was bringing out a more social side of her. The suspicious behavior escalated when she started coming home from sessions already showered. For the first few months, she'd always come home sweaty and would immediately head to our bathroom to clean up. Now she was arriving home fresh and clean, claiming the gym's facilities were just more convenient. When I suggested joining her for a session to meet this Garrett, who was making such a positive impact on her life, she quickly shut down the idea. She said mixing her workout time with our couple time would blur boundaries she was trying to establish. She needed this space to focus on herself, and having me there would be distracting. I respected that explanation. Everyone deserves personal space and individual pursuits in a marriage, but deep down, something was gnawing at me. The breaking point came on a Thursday afternoon in the 5th month. I'd left work early with a terrible headache and decided to come home to rest. Celeste's training session was supposed to run from 2 to 4, so I expected an empty house. Instead, I heard voices coming from our bedroom as I walked up the stairs. My first thought was that someone had broken in. My heart was pounding as I approached our bedroom door, which was slightly ajar. But as I got closer, I recognized one of the voices. It was definitely Celeste, and she wasn't talking about fitness. I stood frozen in the hallway, listening to my wife having an intimate conversation with a man who was clearly not discussing workout routines. The tone, the laughter, the way she was speaking, it was the voice she used to use with me during our early dating days. That's when I heard him say, "We should probably get dressed before your husband comes home." The world stopped spinning. I pushed the door open to find my wife and a man I'd never seen before scrambling to put their clothes back on. The man was tall, muscular, and had the kind of confident demeanor that made it clear this wasn't his first time in our bedroom. Celeste's face went completely white when she saw me. "David, I can explain." But there was nothing to explain. The scene spoke for itself. Garrett, because of course this was Garrett, had the audacity to extend his hand toward me as if we were meeting at a business conference. "You must be David. I've heard so much about you." I've never felt rage like that before in my life. Not the explosive kind you see in movies, but a cold, calculating anger that made everything crystal clear. "Get out of my house," I said quietly. "Now." He gathered his things quickly and left without another word. Celeste sat on the edge of our bed, still partially dressed, crying and trying to form sentences that might somehow make this situation understandable. "David, please! This isn't what you think." "Really?" I asked. "Because what I think is that you've been lying to me for 5 months. What I think is that you've been bringing another man into our bedroom while I was at work. What I think is that every single thing you've told me about your fitness journey has been a cover for an affair." She broke down completely then, admitting that the relationship with Garrett had started as genuine personal training but had evolved into something more. She claimed it had only gotten physical in the last few weeks, but I knew that was probably another lie. What hurt the most wasn't even the physical betrayal. It was the elaborate deception. The fake group chats, the extended session times, the shower routine changes. She had constructed an entire false reality around her affair. Over the next few days, more truth came out. Garrett wasn't even a certified trainer. He was a guy she'd met at the gym who'd offered to help her with her workouts. The professional training fees she'd been paying him were actually just money she was giving him to maintain the illusion. She had been funding her own affair with our joint savings account. The training sessions weren't happening at the gym at all. They were meeting at his apartment, and occasionally, when his roommate was home, they'd come to our house during my work hours. I felt like I'd been living with a complete stranger. The divorce process was swift. I had more than enough evidence, and honestly, Celeste didn't fight it. I think she knew she had destroyed something that couldn't be repaired. She moved out within 2 weeks and moved in with Garrett. 6 months later, I heard from a mutual friend that their relationship had already ended. Apparently, when affairs become real relationships, they often lose whatever excitement made them appealing in the first place. I'm not sharing this story for sympathy or to bash my ex-wife. I'm sharing it because I want other people to trust their instincts. When something feels wrong, those gut feelings exist for a reason. If your partner's behavior changes dramatically, if their stories don't quite add up, if they become secretive about things they were once open about, pay attention to those red flags. Love shouldn't require you to ignore your own intuition. Thanks for listening to my story. If you found this helpful, or if you've experienced something similar, I'd appreciate you sharing your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to hear more real stories like this, consider subscribing to the channel. Take care of yourselves out there.